All right, Kathy's, you guys are lucky. 4 episodes in a row, like every few days. One right before the big birthday.
Big birthday.
Jesus Christ.
Christmas episode. We, the elves are working, so we're going to work.
Elves are working. Fat Man is packing up his presents.
Yeah.
So we're getting ready to go, getting ready to the holidays. You had a topic around free ports?
Yeah. So Nabil, who's been on our pod as kind of the foreign policy expert,
Yeah.
he knows way more about this than honestly anyone I know.
Yeah.
And he gave some great insight. I know Zach brought it up, but we didn't get a chance to kind of dive in on how, because I was trying to understand the mechanism, how you make money from a free port.
Yeah.
So he explained me in detail how it works. So basically, like we discussed last episode, there are ports around the world that either the Swiss government or random, tax haven governments have bought where you're not domiciled in a country.
Yeah.
So you're not like taxed by any region.
It's like a bonded warehouse.
So then I was like, okay, fine. You have this art or whatever you have stored in here. I get it. It's not taxable. So how do you make money on it? So what happens is the goods, there's 2 ways these things happen from what I understand from Nabil. One, so let's call it the Da Vinci art, or you name your $500 million painting that's sitting in the art. It's basically being transacted by different parties through offshore tax havens, and the art never leaves. So one person, brings it into the free port. He sells it for 400 million to someone else. That person keeps it in the free port. He gets the 400 million tax haven.
Yeah.
Then the person who buys it can lend it tax free to a museum, like we talked about last time.
But he has to physically move.
Yeah, but it's still owned by in the domicile of the free port, so you're not getting taxed on it.
Yeah.
But you're getting paid to be lent. And this is happening daily around the world. And
That's just art. What else is being...
arms.
Yeah.
Like
you're lending guns.
You're lending arms to probably a
Syrian
faction.
rebels.
Sure. Yeah, you can lend anything. But what's crazy is I feel like we're fairly in tune with the world. And this is something that I kind of knew what was going on, but it's happening in front of our face and no one does anything about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like, there's so many things. Thing is like, whose responsibility is that? What countries?
I don't know.
So that's my point. It's like maritime. Who's responsible for what happens in the ocean?
Yeah, that's what billionaires have figured out, and royals and governments.
I'm okay with it. I don't give a shit.
It's not about being okay, but
some people will be like, oh, the billionaire. If they're smarter than you and they can figure it out.
This is why the ultra wealthy can afford all the ultra wealthy expenses, because this is just one mechanism that now is kind of being brought to the forefront because there's this Russian that bought a Palm Beach house from Lee Wexner, who's part of the Epstein, sold a painting to MBS. So it's like coming to the forefront again, even though there have been plenty of articles about this, but it resurfaced because even the painting that MBS bought apparently was like not really a Da Vinci. And there's debate whether it was, but he sold it for $450 to please the Trump administration to go overrule Congress on Yemen. So there's all these conspiracy theories. You talk about conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
And I just think this is just another mechanism and element in the world that a lot of nefarious behavior can be done.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I'm good with it.
It's not about being good. It's just good to know.
Why? What are we going to do with it? I don't have a Da Vinci. I don't benefit.
Maybe you should get one.
Well, my Da Vinci would be like a slice of pizza from an Italian.
You need that art with the banana, the banana, just a slice of pizza.
I can lend that.
A slice of pizza?
I can lend the pizza with a piece of tape.
What slice would you put on like that banana that was put on the art? It was the talk at Basel like 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
I would say in LA, I'm going with the...
No, global. It's a slice of pizza. You have to have global appeal. You think MBS is buying a Vito's pizza?
Well, those really popular New York pizzas, I don't think they're that good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Bleecker Street pizza is like as hot.
I mean, you're eating pizza every week in New York, so you should tell us.
I think there's better pizza in LA. How about that?
Hot take.
Very hot take. New York's just overhyped. It's even like bagels. Everyone's like,
Everyone
oh,
hypes the water, right? For the pizza?
what, rat water?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. So maybe if rat water makes better bagels and pizzas, then so be it. I think 10 years ago, there was not good pizza or bagels in LA. Today there is. There's incredible pizza.
A lot of great bagel shops.
A lot of great bagels, a lot of great pizza. I think people just finally put the effort in to like make good food. LA's food scene also 25 years ago was not good.
Mm-hmm.
It was not known for really great food. The food thing is like pretty recent in LA. Like 10, 15 years.
I follow our friend Ben Hundreds on Instagram. He's posting restaurants I've never heard of all around the city.
Yeah, like when all these lists come out of like top 20 restaurants in LA, I never heard of one of them. Not one.
Yeah.
Like literally have not even heard of it.
He does his little food tour on Instagram. Great follow if you want to discover LA food.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of these places.
Yeah.
I don't even know where they are.
No idea.
A lot of it's Echo Park and deep downtown.
Yeah,
because it's affordable rent.
Yeah, cheap rent. So if you're like,
you can like be curious about creating a new cuisine.
Well, that was it. That's a big part of like gentrifying a community. You got to offer cheap enough rent so young entrepreneurs can come and open up the coffee shop.
Even like Pizza Palace. He did it in his parents' Holiday Inn because he's like, I can experiment.
Yeah, and exactly. So I think all of these restaurants need those types of, when you go to Beverly Hills or West Hollywood or Santa Monica or Venice, like those restaurants cost $5-10 million to even open.
Yeah, outside the Staples in Beverly Hills, it's a rotating door.
Yeah. It's too expensive and then it's hard to keep up. The rent's too high.
And most of the Staples have customers from the last 30 years.
It's the same people.
Yeah.
Like you go to Medeo's, I mean, it is the same people.
Yeah.
Like when it was the old Medeo's, I used to see these people there. They're still going. They're barely walking.
It's same with all these restaurants.
Yeah.
The old school.
Yeah. I mean, I go to the same restaurants. I got a Nice Guy, Delilah, whatever. I'm not going to any new restaurants.
Right.
So it's pretty common. All right. Well, good. Good for the Freeports.
Yeah.
I don't really care. I can't benefit.
No, it's just fun to talk about.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you what I can benefit from. 4.3% GDP, USA. Booming. USA is absolutely booming. 2.7% inflation. Inflation's plummeting.
So we have a good GDP print, 4.3%. I'll give the caveats to all of this. So the majority of the growth in spend for GDP, because it's the consumption of goods and services in America. Healthcare. So healthcare costs are booming.
Yeah.
Services costs are booming. Does insurance cover in services? I'm not sure.
I think insurance is in healthcare.
Okay. Yeah. For healthcare insurance. Yeah.
Well, we have a healthcare insurance problem in this country.
Massive.
And Trump finally said, I think he realized it literally last week. He said insurance companies are ripping people off.
So the kind of pickle is, yes, GDP is growing. Inflation's down. Unemployment is actually growing. Yeah. And the average person does feel still disenfranchised.
And you know what? Scott Bessent, I love this guy. I'm listening to his All In right now.
I'm halfway through, yeah.
And he said it. He's like, this year was not for Main Street.
He said next year is.
Next year is. I mean, at least he admitted
that's where I ended.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he said after that.
Well, he basically laid out the picture. I haven't listened to the whole episode yet, but he's laying out the picture that inflation is coming down. There's clear investments being made across all of these industries. And one of the things he said that tariffs basically forced some element of domestic production that is an investment that will create jobs. Like even just assume, we all know that AI has had a huge impact on GDP. A lot of that will be in the form of, we were just talking about data centers.
Yeah.
That's going to create jobs. That's going to create GDP impact in those local economies. And by the way, data centers are not in Manhattan and Beverly Hills. Data centers are going to be in Arizona, New Mexico, Ohio. Those states are Texas. Those are where the data centers are going to be built. Those are going to create jobs. Those are already affordable communities. So you should have a pretty big impact on things like that. And I think the main thing is we're getting lower interest rates. It ain't going up.
Well, he tweeted it today.
Yes.
So Trump tweeted today, on Truth Social, but it always gets repurposed on Twitter or X. I'm not appointing a Fed chair that does not agree with me.
Yeah.
We will have lower interest rates no matter what. And
Kevin Hassett came out and said, we're behind the curve. We need to lower interest rates faster. Everyone else is lowering interest rates. So he obviously wants to be Fed chair. And what's interesting is that like...
So here's my bone to pick with Bessent. Granted, I'm only like 20, 30 minutes into the episode. He started praising Greenspan in the 90s. And it's pretty unanimous. Everyone thinks Greenspan created the GFC.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he reconciles that. And no one pushed him on that, which I thought was kind of weird because these guys all know. Yeah. If you talk to anyone that's been an investor in any asset class from 2000 on.
Yeah, but I would argue that
he kept interest rates too low, which created the GFC.
Yeah, but what actually created was large banks creating products.
Yeah, because they could lend at zero. They were borrowing at zero and lending at 3-4%.
So I think
that was the mechanism why the GFC was created.
Yeah, the problem is we didn't have the guardrails on large banks. Today, there's a lot more guardrails in the banking system than there was 15 years ago when all this shit happened. Like in 2007, 2008, it was fuckery.
Yeah, my point is he kept it too long. I mean, you can talk to anyone in finance. Yeah. They'll tell you Democrat, Republican.
I know, but we don't have low interest rates right now. So we have to see. And the thing is like Trump is only going to be president for 3 more years or maybe 7. And then, so if he's 7 more years, 7 years it takes GFC, Greenspan is from the 90s.
He left during one of the Bush administrations.
Yeah, but he started in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
So he was there. Yeah. I don't know what his era was, but like
most of the 90s, if not all.
Yeah. And GFC was 10 years later. So like at some point, someone
pays the piper. Yeah. Like we're paying the piper right now for what happened during COVID.
Yeah, of course. The spending.
We did 2 years ago.
And the other thing he did, I think it's a tough for people to understand, but I think more conservative people understand it. But in regards to immigration, what Scott Bessent was saying that in like C and D locations, rents went up dramatically, which infected lower income people. And now that immigration is basically non-existent, you're seeing that those costs go down. And so I think effectively in the economy, most things can go down in price except for insurance. The only way insurance is going to go down is if the administration does what they did with the pharma, and they basically drag them all up there and say, you're dropping prices. If not, we're going to tax you. And even the French Macron, he said, you're going to have to raise prices. And he's like, no. And he's like, well, if you don't, I'm going to tariff you. So a minimal increase globally on pharmaceuticals benefits the Americans dramatically, right? Where they can get the price down. Health insurance, we know, is a scam. There's nobody who thinks health insurance is not a scam.
Correct.
So, and I think the most interesting thing about what this administration has the ability to do is all previous politicians pander to big pharma, oil, back in the days, tobacco, those types of industries. Those industries from a GDP perspective are fucking irrelevant. They're just not. Look at the size of these tech companies. So what are they doing now? They're pandering to tech. Big tech. That's who politicians are now owned by big tech. The one thing about big tech, and I'm comfortable being wrong with this, when I think about specifically things like health insurance, car insurance, food, where are they doing things that will inflate the cost? I feel like they're doing things to deflate the cost.
So not yet.
Car insurance with Waymo is going down.
With Waymo, sure. I'm just talking about the insurance products.
Amazon is getting into healthcare. Prescription drugs on Amazon are dirt fucking cheap. They want to be in the insurance business.
Yeah. So why wouldn't you? It's 18% of the GDP.
Yeah, but like I don't think Amazon and Costco and all these people that are going to enter the space, they view it as a low margin business. For them, it's just stickiness for their core business.
Yeah, it just adds
cart.
Yeah. you buy, they can afford, they've already have you.
Yeah.
They already have the distribution centers.
Yeah.
Even if they make 5% on a drug, it's still accretive to them.
Yeah. And that to me is where big tech becomes deflationary, where it's like they're in the pockets of the politicians. They're going to do whatever the fuck they want because they are the richest companies in the world. But I do think we benefit from it.
So
on healthcare costs and insurance.
I got served on YouTube interview between Balaji Srinivasan, who now lives in Singapore, and Friedberg. I think it was 2 weeks ago, but I saw it in the last couple of days. They basically pointed the doomsday, how far advanced they are in long-term thinking than the US is. And they talk about nuclear, they talk about data centers, and they give the metrics. They're like at a 5 to 6x clip China is versus America. And then obviously building, they have no regulations. They can build whatever they want. Yeah. They can build whatever cities they want.
Yeah.
They can build
do whatever they want. Yeah.
They can do whatever they want. And, they paint a pretty doomsday picture for America. And Friedberg was just like, look, all my friends are in the administration now. Yeah. So what should they be doing?
Yeah.
And, they tried to come up with but this is like the thing, right? Everyone says America's always doomed. I don't think so at all. But when you look at just the data objectively, which you can't exclude is America's the biggest economic power in the world by like a magnitude of like 20, I think, or 15.
Yeah.
And everyone keeps calling for the doom of America. I just don't see it. And I know these guys are really smart. They look at data, but you can't stop the American consumer.
China was on the path of complete global dominance. They shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bet those idiots are going to do it again. They shot themselves on the foot on fucking COVID. They went too draconian. It set their 100-year plan became 200-year plan. Then the population thing they did.
Yeah, screwed them.
Lights up. It's over. Game over. Do you understand? If you grew up, think about it, 50 years of no one having a big family, do you know how long it's going to take for these people to have 2 kids? It's going to happen 100 years from now.
And they also argued, which I completely disagree with, that FDR was just the lesser of the evil of communists between Stalin, Mussolini, and Hitler.
This is why that guy's in Singapore. No one gives a fuck what anyone in Singapore thinks. Let me tell you about Singapore. It's Singapore.
And
POOR. That's what it is.
FDR
No one cares about Singapore.
With creating kind of the new America post World War II.
What? Yeah, of course. I remember from the history books, he basically is the reason why America became global dominance.
Yeah, if you look from the 50s on, we grew faster than everyone. That's why China didn't start till 20 years ago.
Yeah. No, whatever. These guys don't know anything. Especially Singapore. I can't accept it. But I do think the big takeaway that everyone in, if you listen to what everyone in the administration is talking about, interest rates, inflation, they're obviously putting pressure on large corporations to invest. It's crystal fucking clear. We're going up and to the right next year. There has to be a macro event for stocks to go down.
I agree.
Like something we cannot, catastrophic has to happen.
Yeah.
We learned this during COVID. We were the idiots sitting on this podcast. Idiots. I will call us out. We were fucking morons. We were like, how is the stock market? Everything is closed. And we've been hearing this in our entire adult life. Do not fight the Fed. Yeah. And the most simple-minded people made all the money. I'm not fighting it this time. I'm riding the fucking wave.
Yeah. Risk assets are going to have a great first half of the year.
Yeah. I mean, why? May is when our guy gets put in the chair. Yeah. Second half is going to be even better.
And the midterms are coming, so you know what's going to happen.
You have to pump.
And I think, you know what, the Fed and the administration is going to keep fighting. If you want to talk about don't fight the government, because the common narrative right now is the Mag 7 and the S&P 493.
Yeah.
Mag 7 represents a very small portion of the population that's benefiting.
So they got to pump the 493.
The 493 need to go up.
I literally was thinking of like,
I would be long 493.
yes, I'm very much like,
Because that represents America, right?
well, there's one underperforming Mag 7, heavily underperformed, Amazon,
Yeah, they are.
which they have not, I think they're up 3% this year.
Still a $2.4 trillion company.
Yeah, but it should be worth 4.
Yeah.
Like, if you just think about it from that perspective, like, you know, they represent the 493 in a mass
Yeah,
way.
they basically are 493.
Yeah.
They are 493.
Yes. And so my, and not financial advice, my hypothesis is that's my bet. I'm just like, okay, all these tech companies have eaten. Amazon's not being valued like an AI company. They're being valued like,
Macy's.
yeah, like a shitty retailer. And so with the AWS, that's obviously very profitable, but like, you know, Costco has an enterprise, you know, like a PE way higher than
Yeah, I
Walmart.
do think we have predictions. It's the year of the 493.
Yeah, and I think what the administration is setting up for, they know it's about Main Street. Scott Bessent is smart as shit. Like, he's like one of the people that have actually listened to him. I'm like, man, this guy's not an idiot.
No, he's very smart.
He's very smart. And
But he also has to look. I wish we could get Bessent outside the administration, because a lot of these guys that are in any administration, they sound way smarter when they don't have to play the party line. Like, even the people under Obama that have come out, even against some of the things he's done
yeah,
under Bush, they've come out. Like Colin Powell came out and basically was like, yeah, Iraq was a joke.
yeah,
And he was part of the problem.
yeah. Well, you have to fall in line when you're in an administration. Yeah. So I agree with that. But yeah, look, I think if half of the bullshit he said is accurate,
Yeah, I mean, there's no question his biography proves he's extremely brilliant.
yeah.
There's no question.
So I am actually pretty optimistic about 2026, and I think the data is looking okay. Like, I was not optimistic 3 months ago. I was like, fuck, dude, shit's gonna really hit the fan. And then even the CEO of Tanger Outlets came out, you know, they're one of the largest outlet companies in America, came out and said, we know our consumer is struggling, but they were out in force in the holidays. And he's like, typically when you see low consumer confidence, you don't see the spend. So it either keeps on reiterating the fact that the people who have money are disproportionately spending. So it doesn't even matter what low income people are doing, because a person that normally would spend $1,000 on Christmas maybe spent $3,000. And that $3,000 makes up for the fact if the guy that normally spends $1,000 spent $400, it doesn't even matter. It's irrelevant. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But I was just looking at the high level data, and look, government data is all bullshit anyways. They've changed what they consider CPI like 15 times in the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, let's just exclude energy and rent. And then when it's to your benefit, let's throw energy in there. So I don't really find the data to be all that effective. The one thing I do see is I saw in Beverly and Fairfax, $3.99 gas. I filled up my tank yesterday for $3.99, which I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
That was like COVID time, was when you were getting really cheap gasoline. So we know that gasoline is still like a big driver of the economy. And I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how the first couple of weeks, but like the macro events, we have no idea what will come from it. Well, if you don't have money, and you're interested in birthing a child, there's a young man that is willing to let you be a part of his fortune. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how to pronounce, is it Pavel Durov?
Pavel Durov, yeah.
Okay, he's the founder of Telegram.
Yep.
Billionaire. Big crypto billionaire from what I've read.
Yeah, so he made all his money in crypto, and he says he loses money on Telegram.
Yeah, he just does it for, the vibes.
I'm on his Telegram
chat.
Yeah, because anyone can subscribe
So
to
he
it.
just talks.
Yeah.
Did he announce that he will cover IVF costs for women under 37 who want to use his donated sperm?
How much is he jacking off?
I think he's shooting for 100 kids. That's 100 jackoffs. That's not that much.
That's not that much, I guess. But I mean, Jesus Christ.
But I think it's a pretty interesting.
And you've seen, because Wall Street Journal has been covering this the last few weeks. There's
Yeah.
Chinese billionaires doing the exact same thing. They're getting hundreds of kids with their sperm. I don't know what their
Yeah.
motivation is.
Yeah.
This guy's just, the Elon expand population.
Yeah.
And does he have to pay for them? What's the
So he's not only
contract?
paying for them, he even promised the offspring a share of his fortune. He's letting
Yeah,
them.
I know he's paying for the IVF, but who's taking care of the kid?
Oh, I'm sure he's gonna.
I mean,
he'll chip in.
100 kids, each kid's $1 million, 0 to 18 at the
Well,
minimum.
it depends. If it's in like Russia, it's not.
Yeah.
They don't have to be going to school in Beverly Hills. They can go to school in fucking Russia. It'll be a lot cheaper. I mean, I don't think he's promising any, maybe it's based on your zip code, the lifestyle you live. But it's,
Geo-targeting the...
yeah, but it's a pretty fascinating thing. Like the billionaire class and like population, they're really going for it. Like I really believe the new status is how many kids you have. I felt like that when we started having kids. And then now that I have 2 and I definitely cannot afford to have any more, like it is a status thing. Like I know people having 4 kids. I know someone that's about to have 5 kids, but they're fucking rich.
Yeah.
And so they're like, why not?
So this is completely...
It's better than a car.
So this is completely like off topic, but kind of tangential. And, we've talked about the rise of religion across like every aspect of society. And one thing that stood out to me, and I was hearing someone talk about being an atheist today and then now not an atheist anymore. And if you think about like all the tech billionaires that I'd say 12 to 13 years ago were like staunch atheists, like we're just going to disappear and that's the end of the world. That was what all billionaires, tech specific. And now even Elon, he's like, yeah, there could be something. And now people are entertaining the idea that there's something. And here's my kind of hot take on this. I think the tech billionaires that thought everything being atheist, like we're all just nobodies and we die, they're finally identifying consciousness as like very unique to the humankind. And with AGI coming on so strong that can mimic consciousness, I feel like it's almost an ego play where they're like, no, we're the consciousness, not the fucking robot.
Yeah.
And now they think they're different than the robot.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think what made them transition, because they never used to talk about it. Now they're all in interviews like, yeah, there could be something. They don't want to say God. They don't want to say something. But before it was just like, no, we're just matter and we die and we're over.
Yeah.
Now that consciousness is being kind of for the first time, monetized, but actually potentially being real.
Yeah.
They're like, how are we different than this? And now they're like, wait, are we different? But we must be different because we have some higher being.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of
I know that's a really out of the blue
I think it actually circles back to the same thing. I think a lot of young people who are really smart, they have a very black and white view of the world until they have kids. And then when you have kids, you start realizing that life is different. It's not, like your boy who when he wanted to die
by 40. He's over 40.
There's no reason to live beyond 40.
He's over 40.
He's over 40. He's alive.
He's alive and well.
Yes.
With a kid.
With a kid. And I remember when you told me that, I was like, is this guy fucking joking? He literally says there's no reason to live beyond 40. But that's how these people think. He's a tech guy, right? There's ones and zeros. After that,
he's a zero.
Yeah. Eventually, when you hit 40, you go to zero. That was his whole thing. And so I think a lot of these people, they have this like weird planetary, it's too much sci-fi that like none of this shit matters. And then one day you have a kid and you're like, oh shit, there's other things in life besides numbers. And I think their perspective of the world changes dramatically.
Yeah, no, I thought I've just been noticing the change.
Yeah. Well, turning topics, one of the more interesting things that's been happening in this like kind of consumer softness environment is, so typically luxury has always withstood kind of a recessionary environment. And we see it with Kering Group and LVMH and a lot of these players. They're all soft. They're all very soft.
Yeah.
But they're still way up from where they were 5 years ago. And their businesses are still profitable and they'll be fine. There's no existential risk for any big luxury conglomerate or house. And we know it's going to whipsaw back when people start spending on that product again. What's interesting is Saks, who recently merged with Neiman's, is now rumored again to potentially go into bankruptcy. And that to me is like a Saks Neiman's issue, not a luxury issue, because they even said luxury spending is still strong. But the problem is that like Saks and Neiman's, for whatever reason, has not morphed into this new era of department stores. Because guess who had a modest increase in sales? Macy's. Guess who's ripping? Dillard's.
Well, Saks' problem, I'm looking, it's a debt repayment problem.
Yeah.
I mean, if the government wanted to make radical change, you got to stop letting American retailers load up debt and acquisitions.
Well, that's a private equity issue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are we going after carried interest? Go after this.
Yeah.
You're bankrupting companies by financial engineering so private equity firms can make money and put people out of work.
Yeah. I think the key...
Do people not understand that mechanism?
But private equity, it's not illegal.
No, it's not illegal, but we're doing all these different changes, right? We're giving people in San Francisco $5 million to go buy alcohol.
Yeah.
Why are we letting private equity bankrupt retail companies?
Well, it is because there are a group of people on both sides of the transaction thought it was a good idea, right? These are smart people. Someone lost money, right? It's some financial institution lost money. Saks will lose the money and the lender of record will lose the money. So it is a risk play. They are going to get punished. It's not like the government's bailing them out of the debt that's going to be lost. The problem is that like some lender and some private equity backstopped it and did it. And so if there's a willing participant, I don't have a problem with that. It's just that it's just Saks is not a publicly traded company. So we don't get to see under the hood, whereas Macy's and Dillard's were held to a very high expectation and they actually turned their businesses around and are actually doing okay. Like the fact that Macy's is like still it's still doing $21 billion.
Yeah.
And it's profitable and it's like it's back to being a somewhat healthy business again. And Dillard's is like at a 50 all-time high, their stock. I think Dillard's is worth more than Macy's now and they don't even do close to the revenue. So I think my point is that like this interesting shift that's happening at retail. And then if you've been following Revolve and Forward, their business in Forward is growing. And I could tell you why. It's because their luxury is going nowhere. Essence, which was kind of in the space, is effectively bankrupt. Most of the players in the space are struggling.
Farfetch effectively went bankrupt.
Farfetch doesn't have the same supply they had 5 years ago. Saks is basically can't pay their bills. If you can't pay your bills, you're not getting the best stuff. And so there's a huge hole in the market for luxury. And Revolve has Forward. Forward is going to sneak in there. And I wouldn't be surprised if Forward becomes a huge business.
But if you look at retail bankruptcies over the last 15 years, I would suspect 99% is because of debt on the business. Yeah. Not because customers weren't showing up.
No. Yeah. And I think that was the in 2008, 2009, coming out of GFC and like the advent of the internet and e-commerce shopping, everyone said brick and mortar is dead. This is not what happened.
No, what happened was the way brick and mortar was being financed is dead.
Yes. But there is, I mean, I've been to a handful of stores in the last week. They're fucking slammed.
Yeah.
Parking lots slammed. Every type of
well, it's also holidays, but sure.
I know, but like it's just. But in general, like you okay. If you go to like a suburban,
if you
mall,
have a good experience in whatever the shopping center is, you'll be slammed.
Even PacSun, first new stores they've opened in 20 years was this year. This year, when people are telling you Abercrombie doing well, American Eagle doing well. These were all
and PacSun, another example. They were loaded with debt. They got rid of the debt. The company's doing well.
Yeah. And look at all these names: Abercrombie, American Eagle, PacSun, Dick's Sporting Goods, On Fire. All of these retailers have like turned their business around and are now thriving. So there is opportunity out there. It's just that, and so like Saks to me is just like, it's a them problem.
Yeah. They need to be recapitalized and the business will be fine.
Yeah. So I actually don't think it ends up, someone has to bail it out. I know Amazon and Saks have a relationship now. A lot of Saks inventory is on Amazon. Does Amazon bail them out? It's a rounding error for them. They don't even need to announce it.
No, it's not material.
No.
For a $2.4 trillion company.
Yeah, because I think it has to be, if it's less than 1%, you do not have to announce it.
Nothing.
That's
1% is 240 billion.
Yeah. No, that's
24
10%.
billion, sorry.
Yeah. This is not 24 billion.
Yeah.
This is what, few billion max? It's literally, their interest on debt is probably more.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. Another big interesting news, which I found fascinating. The Honest Company, as of this week, is shutting down their website and no longer a direct-to-consumer company, focusing completely on wholesale and Amazon. So if you remember, if you've been around and you saw the beginning of the direct-to-consumer boom, the Honest Company, an LA company, was the poster child of the future of retail being direct-to-consumer. What, I don't know, 15 years later, they're shutting down their website.
Yeah.
and I actually think it's a great idea because the unit economics of direct to consumer is getting worse. Customer acquisition costs are going up. Shipping is going up. Fulfillment costs are going up. So until those things starts dropping, for a small business to operate profitably in direct to consumer is incredibly difficult. But as soon as you plug into an Amazon or a wholesale thing, hey, yeah, your margin's way less, but it's finite. You know you're making this much amount of money.
So you could take this out if D wants to. So when Honest Company got bought by L Catterton, my close friend actually ran the deal for L Catterton.
Yeah.
And his entire initiative was this.
Yeah.
Stop the D2C.
Yeah.
Let's focus on wholesale. We're crushing in Target.
Yes.
We're crushing, I don't know what other retail, maybe Walmart, whatever.
Yeah.
We're crushing all these. Why do we have 150 engineers?
Yeah.
Let's get rid of these 150 engineers.
Yes. And I think that is why one, L Catterton is very successful because they saw it. It's a good brand. It's a great brand. They make great products. It has a cult following. The issue is direct-to-consumer economics, and then they were in an area of like pre-Shopify where you had to go build this site. Now you don't need any engineers to operate an e-commerce site.
No.
You need Shopify.
And you can off-label any AI company to be your engineer.
Yeah. And you don't really need maybe for some modest integrations. For the most part,
you need one on top of everything.
Yeah. And like I met several different types of businesses that are not using Shopify, but are in commerce that's fully no code. Like literally, like these people are not engineers. They have figured it out. They built a custom system for themselves. So I think like what happened with Honest Company is actually quite amazing because it just shows you these are actually good businesses. They're actually good brands.
Yeah, I feel like the brands that were built to D2C is the equivalent of debt on retailers. The engineers were the debt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you get rid of the engineers,
yeah,
you can actually focus on the brand.
Yeah, and I think
because people wanted the Honest brand.
Yeah, the brand was never the problem.
Didn't want or the company didn't work when you have a bloated.
Yeah, and like I said, like one of the biggest value propositions that Ghost is offering brands is like distribution. The math makes sense. There are so many billion-dollar companies that just do wholesale. Like we work with like I don't know, like Nautica or whatever these brands. They don't even have a website.
Yeah.
The website's just for show. They do no business. They don't advertise. They don't market. They don't care. They want to be in retail. They want to sell Dillard's and Macy's and Costco and, all of these retailers. So like the distribution is where the money's at. Unfortunately, the direct-to-consumer model is just expensive.
Well, it just became unprofitable. It's profitable for like an 8-year window.
Yeah. And I think, don't get me wrong, there are profitable direct-to-consumer businesses. There's plenty of those that exist. It's just not as easy as there's a way more amount of wholesale. Because in wholesale, like you have no choice. You have to make money. You just can't exist.
Yeah, my view on the direct-to-consumer brands that are crushing it, and there's definitely plenty, they actually don't have any equity value. They found a gimmick, or I don't want to call it a hack because it's kind of insulting to them because they've grown like hundreds of millions of dollars in revenues of business, but they found like kind of a niche how they can get there.
Yeah.
Whereas brands that actually have to sell to stores, you actually have to have brand value.
Yeah.
Because someone has to show up to a store and seek out your brand.
Yeah.
Versus being served like, 100 TikTok ads and you get convinced because that ad is cool.
Yeah.
And that's influencer said
I still think you can start your brand there because it is because the problem is like, okay, if you start a brand today, you're not getting it at any retailer. Because retailers do not buy net new brands they've never heard of. It's too fucking hard. They want stuff that has some validation. And the validation could be you do well on TikTok Shop, or our video went viral, or you're doing some business on your website and you share that data. So you do need some validation. So I think the starting point is still direct to consumer, but as soon as you get some traction, you got to distribute your brand. If you just keep it tight.
Or you have to sell, because Liquid IV and Nutrafol are two great examples. Unilever shared some of the data a couple weeks ago. I think Liquid IV is doing over $1 billion in revenue.
Yeah.
And they were probably doing a couple of $100 million when Unilever bought them.
I don't even think they were doing that.
And Nutrafol is now doing in the billions too.
Yeah. And the key
because Unilever bought the brand and gave them the distribution.
Yes. It's all about distribution. That is all that matters. And that's why all I've been obsessing over with our business for the last couple of years is like, I want distribution in every retailer, because once you have it, it's like owning property. Like you can't.
Yeah, it's the shelf space. That's why Procter and Gamble has to pay for fucking Cheerios or whatever to be in the aisle.
Yeah, and it's
everyone's still walking the aisle.
Yeah, and it's not only just that. It's also like these retailers like to work with people they know and they trust. It's really hard for them to get comfortable working. We work with some very large retailers. They're not onboarding random vendors weekly. It's just not happening. Like a mid-sized retailer can do that, but a big one, the risk is too high. If you don't deliver to Walmart, like it's a big fucking problem. Like they lose their mind. Their dates are very precise for a reason. Why they do something is very precise for a reason. So I think it's a good lesson, and I think it's a huge opportunity.
Yep.
All right. Most bizarre story I read this week so far.
What you got?
Steven Spielberg.
Mm-hmm.
So the director of Jaws shared a story recently. I think Jaws is coming out any day now. Or maybe it came out. I have no idea. Like the remake. Saying that he wrote or directed, he wrote Man About Town, Ben Affleck movie. And he wanted Ben Affleck to work with Steven Spielberg as a director.
Okay.
Steven Spielberg and Ben Affleck are obviously friends. Turns out they're on vacation at the same hotel somewhere. I'm not too sure the exact location.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck is walking by the pool. Steven Spielberg's son pulls him into the pool, pushes him into the pool. Ben Affleck gets out of the pool, starts yelling at him, and throws his kid in the pool. Okay, so now Steven Spielberg said, I will not work with Ben Affleck because he threw my kid in the pool. Why the fuck is Steven Spielberg's son first throwing Ben Affleck in the pool?
And so this is the late 90s.
Yes.
And I guess, how old could Ben Affleck have been? 26, 27 years ago? I mean, he's his mid-50s probably?
Yeah.
Yeah, what you push like a 28-year-old.
You're getting pushed in the pool. Yeah, exactly. And then so first of all, like, that's pretty entitlement of Steven Spielberg's kid.
And it's entitlement of the dad, Mr. Spielberg, not reprimanding his son for pushing this guy in the pool.
And he's mad at Ben Affleck because he's yelled at his son and Ben Affleck pushed him back in the pool.
It's a good story. This is like a great Hollywood story.
Great. It's almost like, it's kind of shocking you would even share it.
Yeah, why? What's his motivation?
Basically why they don't work together.
You think he's just like older and is like, fuck it, I can say whatever I want.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Maybe. And maybe he just has a new bone to pick. Maybe Ben Affleck shined him at like some fancy Hollywood event.
Yeah, I mean, I don't I don't know. I don't know. I can't read Ben Affleck. He could be a great guy. Could be a piece of shit. I have no idea. But it's an unbelievable story.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's pretty good.
All right. So before we head into winners, losers content, the big news in the NFL, there's a lot of big news in the NFL around where teams are moving to.
Mm-hmm.
So part of building an NFL stadium, you usually need local support, right? Because the city, often the state chip in because the idea is that it has like a positive impact on local economy. Apparently the Chiefs are moving to Kansas.
Temporarily.
Okay, not permanent.
No, so they basically are
Building a new stadium.
they're renovating Arrowhead Stadium.
Okay.
It's a $3 billion price tag, and the city/state is giving them $1.8 billion to subsidize the $3 billion revamp. They're moving to Kansas temporarily while this gets built, and this is why being an owner in the NFL is like the greatest thing of all time. So you get the city and state to pay for it.
Yeah.
And all your rent payments like go towards renovations that you get to use and security and staff for the stadium. So now the city is now a technically owner of the stadium, but you're paying rent. Part of the rent goes to the city and state, but that gets in a slush fund. They get to use it to keep the stadium kind of kept properly.
Yeah.
I think this is what gets a lot of like people riled up. Like the Hunt family, what do you think, Chiefs, $10 billion franchise at least?
Yeah, of course.
10 to 15
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
If Mahomes stays, 15.
Yeah.
And they're getting $1.8 billion of tax money.
Yeah.
And the argument you can make on the other side is it's so important for the city and the state to have the Chiefs. And
you can't lose the Chiefs.
The importance of small businesses and the energy and all the events that happen. Because now, look, you're going to get the next Taylor Swift concert.
Yes.
The next Taylor Swift's going to have to go through Arrowhead, or name your big act,
World Cup, whatever, Olympic, everything.
Everything comes through. So the idea is kind of what the King LeBron did in Cleveland. Remember, we went. They built like an entire city because LeBron was there, and it brought
people.
It brought the revenue in the restaurant. So I hope the math pencils out. They should probably lead with the math and not with this story, because the Hunt family came out and did a press conference talking about it. I feel like
if they just said economic impact over the next 25 years,
here it is.
Yeah.
This is why we're doing the 1.8.
I think the Hunt family is basically like, fuck you.
You want Mahomes.
We got you 3 Super Bowls in the last like 7 years. So eat shit.
I'm not mad if the math pencils out, and if it does outline you outline how the breakdown is, just lead with that, because you're just giving fodder to be like, oh, another billionaire getting saved.
Well, there's another big discussion in the NFL is Chicago Bears need to rebuild a stadium. Their stadium's a dump.
Mm-hmm.
And the city of Chicago, for whatever reason, it's like putting up a big fight.
It's another banana republic, Chicago.
Yeah, that's complete insanity. So Indiana threw their hat in and said, we'll give you whatever you want, tax subsidies. If they steal the Bears, it's Chicago should just shut down.
Yeah, I mean, all the major corporations have already left.
Yeah.
Citadel's gone.
Yeah. Low performer this year, Citadel.
I saw that.
But 9%? 9%? S&P at 18.
Yeah.
What are you doing over there?
They're probably short.
They were doing natural gas. That was their big bet.
Silver and gold were the plays.
I mean,
gold's up 150%.
Silver's up even more.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these things are up so much, and these guys are betting natural gas. What are you doing? Natty gas?
Their algo wasn't using AI. I don't know.
Also, like, it was a pretty simple narrative. The AI thing was a pretty, like, do they assume the natural gas was powering AI data centers? Was that the play? And maybe it's a laggard and they're going to see the benefit of it?
I don't know.
I don't even know what natural gas is.
LNG, liquid natural gas.
Exactly. Nobody knows what it does.
It's a good moniker, though.
Yeah.
You see LNG, you think it's complicated.
Yeah. I don't know what it is or what it does or what the purpose of betting on it was. It didn't work. 9%'s a joke.
Yeah, and they're opening in Dubai too.
Yeah, that's just to raise money.
Well, I think it's also talent has gone there because all of Europe has moved to Dubai. They're out of all
So
the
if you
major
want
cities.
European talent.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have a lot of LNG there, I would assume.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Winners, losers, content. Who's your winner of the week?
Winner of the week. Everyone's celebrating the holidays. It's a great time of year. You get to be with your families and everyone enjoy and take in the break. It's kind of nice in LA. There's no traffic right now. It's very calm.
Yeah. This next week in LA is so nice. It's just traffic is gone. Even today, the traffic was light.
Yeah.
Feels like, except
I just don't like the rain coming in.
Yeah.
I know you're in and out, but
atmospheric river explosion.
Do you think, because remember the last time it was predicted, nothing actually happened? You think this time we get hit?
I mean, what is getting hit? I think the real issue will be what happens when the fire areas.
Will power go out?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It is heavy rain. They are expecting heavy rain.
Yeah.
Record rainfall. All right. My winner of the week. It's me. I made it to the fantasy football finals in one of my leagues.
So did I.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Who are we playing?
Brew.
Okay. So you have a big, we both have big weekends.
Yeah. Christmas Day it starts.
Christmas Day it starts. Most of my players are on Saturday and Sunday, but
mine's going to end Monday night. He's got 2 Falcons.
Okay. Fantasy football, I can only imagine that it's growing double digit a year.
I mean, our mom plays.
Yes.
That's a good indication.
And what's interesting is now that my oldest knows what it is, he's very entrenched in my fantasy football, but like there are his friends, they're in leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Like the parents are doing leagues with them. So this thing is unstoppable, fantasy football.
It's great. It's such a, I mean, I would, in addition to gambling, I think gambling is a big part of the NFL's growth. Fantasy is equal, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, fantasy is a broader market because like
every office has a fantasy.
Yeah. And
even if you weren't into football, you'll pay attention for the end of the weekend. Oh, what did my guys do?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's cheering. Everyone's it's
and you get to learn the sport. You learn players that you would never. I mean, even me who follows it closely, they're still. I see the waiver wire. I was like, who's that guy? You got 3 touchdowns last week.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. I watch so much football, and I don't know anyone.
There's a lot of you guys.
We get all these. We buy football cards. I was looking through. I don't know half the names. What am I watching?
Yeah,
I literally don't know any of these people's names. It's fascinating. All right, loser of the week.
No loser, another winner. Pokemon cards.
Yeah, Pokemon's on fire.
So there's a Netflix show that's debuting today.
Yep.
Basically talking about collectibles. It's like the kind of godfather of the collectible space. It's putting it out. And Logan Paul has the most expensive Pokemon card.
He bought that a few years ago.
It's the only PS10
PSA
in the world. Yeah. PSA 10, sorry. And I think he spent $5.3 million. He said he bought it from someone in Dubai.
Yeah.
You know the thing about the Pauls is they're willing to go big and be wrong. Because I saw him on ESPN talking about it. And then I was like, wow, is he always right? And then I thought about it. They went so hard on NFTs and that was wrong.
Yeah.
But they went hard on Pokemon. That's right.
Yeah. And by the way, even Jake, who fought this weekend, which you guys asked beat, at the end of the fight, I don't know if you watched him speak, where he's like, yeah, man, I got my ass beat.
Yeah.
I got my jaw broken. I got that level of, I don't know, like self-awareness is why they're likable. In my opinion, everyone hates on them.
I think old people hate on them.
Old people hate on them.
I don't hate on them.
I love them.
Yeah.
I love both of them. I think they're awesome.
Well, they're not this popular if everyone hated them. Yeah. I think old people finally had to be forced to like them because they're too big of a business.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere.
I think 5 years ago, he's fighting YouTubers, this, that. Like, guess what? He had 33 million people watch the Joshua Jake Paul fight.
Yeah.
33, that's bigger than the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And so, yeah, I think that's definitely the case. And then on collectibles, specifically outside of Pokemon, One Piece. One Piece is the hot one. Another anime.
Okay.
On fire.
Where is it? Japanese?
Yeah.
So Pokemon cards are up 3,000% in the last decade.
So
it's Max 7 and Pokemon cards.
I went to dinner the other night in New York with our friend Michael Katz, and we sat at a table, and a buddy of his who's a collector came, and we're at a pretty fancy restaurant, and we opened up packs during dinner. Pokemon. I don't know anything about Pokemon, but it was so fun. We were just like literally ripping fucking $500 boxes of Pokemon at dinner. And I'm watching, and everyone's like coming and, oh, what is that? Pokemon. Oh, talking, chit chat. It's like, it was a real attention drawer. It just shows that like, and I've been talking to a lot of people in this space, even though it's like a pretty mature space, it's been around fucking 100 years, whatever, of collecting. It's kind of like a crypto situation where enough people have belief that this is an asset class that they want to put money into. So it's going to happen. So like, I don't think it's like, you know, when we were collecting cards, it was kind of like, it was popular, but it was a little fringe, right? Like you saw the people that went to these fucking card collector shows that we used to go to. That's not the case today. When you have Logan Paul and Jake Paul and these types of people who are cool young guys putting real money. So if you're a young person, like you're treating it like a real asset class. Mm-hmm. Same way like Wall Street Journal put out the Birkin bag in the resale market over the last decade. I forgot what the percentage was. It was like through the roof. Cards are like that. Like people view it as a real class.
Oh yeah, no question. I mean, you're talking about 7-8 figure deals.
Yeah.
You have to pay attention.
Yeah, you have to pay
They're
attention.
probably in Freeports now.
Yeah. Yeah. That Pokemon's probably in a Freeport.
Yeah.
I mean, they live in Puerto Rico.
He had it in display in his place in Puerto Rico today.
Yeah. Puerto Rico is basically a free port. You do whatever you want there. My loser of the week is the NFL.
What, because Christmas Day is
Christmas Day lineup is basura. Trash. It's unbelievable. I'm literally watching the billboard near my house, the Netflix.
Well, it's all backup guys.
What?
See, all backup guys are teams out of the playoffs.
Yeah, like literally nobody's playing. The only people that are playing who have the incentives.
Yeah.
Like players who get like one more catch, you get 200,000.
The only thing that could hold ratings is the fantasy implications.
Yes. I literally think that's the only reason why.
Because it's 6 teams.
Yeah.
You're inevitably going to have one of the 6 teams.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Everyone's going to watch, but it was set up for, and these are big Vikings, Lions, Chiefs. Like these are big names.
And the NBA is 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
Maybe the NBA wins. They won't get more ratings, but they won't get as low as they did last year.
Yeah. I think there will be people tuned out of the NFL. But yeah, it's even tough to bet when your guys, well, if you're a gambler.
You don't even know who to bet.
Yeah. It's
the
tough.
Chiefs have a third stringer in.
Yeah. Let's bet that.
I don't even know who this guy is.
I did not know who he was. No idea. All right. Content of the week.
Watch Home Alone. Great Christmas movie.
Yeah. A lot of Christmas movie. We watched,
my daughter's obsessed with it. We've watched it 20 times probably in the last month.
We watched on Saturday night Mighty Ducks 2.
Great movie.
Gordon Bombay.
I watched it every day for a summer.
Yeah, literally every day. Great movie.
Woo, 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 Kenny, woo.
Yeah, it is such a good movie. It is mind-boggling to me. And I think someone is working on this because I did run into someone who was telling me about this. Those 90s sports family movies do not exist today.
No, because they don't box office. That's the problem. Which I don't know why they don't just test it. Make one. Like a Sandlot, Mighty Ducks, Little Giants, Angels in the Outfield.
But Netflix could do them, right?
Yeah.
I think it's because who the writers are.
Yeah.
Those writers didn't play sports.
Maybe.
They didn't. It was not a part of their life. They grew up in the arts. And so like the back in the day, it was like probably a different, like, I don't know. Every movie people make is just getting weirder and weirder.
Yeah.
What happened? More kids play youth sports than ever, and there's no youth sports movies.
And think about like an 8 to 10-year-old would love to see a new age Mighty Ducks too.
Yeah. The problem is that like there's going to be some complexity around race. There's going to be complexity around gender. You have to address those things, and Hollywood's too woke to fucking address it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what the last kids sports thing that I guess Friday Night Lights was technically high school, so it wasn't kids.
That was so long ago. Friday Night Lights was 20 years ago, probably. What movie? Taylor Sheridan, the Landman guy and Yellowstone guy, he should do a remake of a Friday Night Lights or a Pee Wee something. I don't know. Like the fact that there's not kids movies, like family kids movies.
It's pretty
around
low-hanging
sports.
fruit, in my opinion. The plot line's already there. Just make it in 2025.
You know if Netflix redoes Mighty Ducks, what the cast would look like.
Yeah, that's the problem. Maybe not after Chappelle. They're willing to do anything.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Chappelle wasn't that funny.
I'm just saying they
Yeah.
push the envelope on everything.
Yeah. I think with him they do. I don't know with everyone else. But I was kind of, I don't know. Did you watch Chappelle?
I did.
I watched half.
I think it's no different.
Kevin Hart was hilarious.
I don't think Chappelle tries to be funny. I think his last two specials are the same.
Yeah. It's just
He's-
social commentary now.
Yeah, he's just a philosopher.
Yeah.
And you either like his philosophy or you don't.
Yeah. I don't mind like the stuff, whatever. Like, you know, he has his opinions. I don't give a shit what people's opinions are. I just wanted to laugh and it became too serious to me.
Yeah.
Whereas Kevin Hart, I was crying laughing.
Yeah, he's trying to be funny.
Yeah.
He laughs half his special.
Yeah.
He's laughing. I think it's part of his bit. I think
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be
Yeah.
because he's done it every special.
Yeah.
Because we've seen him live when he's
Yeah.
prepping. He's still laughing.
Yeah. Because
Does he think he's that funny?
I think I'm that funny. When I say something, I laugh. So I can relate to him.
Remember during COVID, he was doing those shows at Harriet's? And,
So funny.
but he was laughing just
Yeah.
as much as the crowd.
Yeah.
He'd say a joke and just burst out laughing.
Maybe he's impressed by his jokes. All right, let's moving on. Shout outs. One from @Royce Jacob. What up, Royce? No joke. I've been drinking a cup or two of Kratom tea almost every day since 2018. I'm a degenerate, but Kratom in moderation is quite chill.
So Royce, we know Royce for a long time.
yeah, he seems fine.
Maybe that's fueling his stock picks because
Yeah.
he's got a big YouTube channel.
Yeah,
for doing
exactly.
Stock picks.
Kratom might made him rich. At Lance, this guy said he needs pizza like he's part of TMNT. I love the Ninja Turtles. Shout out to Michelangelo, Donatello, Leonardo,
Raphael
Raphael.
and Splinter.
Yeah.
And the reporter, Amy.
I like Splinter.
Splinter's great.
Yeah. Those were great movies back in the day. Like,
We can't even make that anymore.
well, they didn't make a remake.
Yeah, but it was adult version,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think it was more adult.
I think the only thing kids work are like Zootopia, which is pure anime.
Well, I think that's because that's what Hollywood thinks kids want.
I mean, it did work because it did 520
No,
million.
of course. But like,
And it was actually a great movie.
I don't think people in Hollywood play sports. They don't even know that kids are that you can't. That I went to the basketball tryouts last week for my son. The waiting list is like 50 kids.
Yeah.
50 kids to get in the league. It's not like we're like AAU team here. There's like a local park league. There's that many people in every league. There's a waiting list of kids waiting to play sports. And they're not doing Hollywood movies. We're in LA. Can you imagine what the line is in like Texas?
Yeah, there were unlimited sports movies in the 90s that we grew up.
Yeah. When I'm on a plane and I want to watch like some like Mighty Ducks sound, it's all movies from that era.
Mm-hmm.
There's not even a new movie like that.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year. Great movie.
Like 25 years old.
More. I was a kid when that came out. It was in the 90s.
Yeah.
I was not 18.
Yeah. I'm telling you. So you're
It's probably 30, 35 years ago.
Yeah. That's insane.
Sandlot, we were probably 10, 13.
Sandlot. Not Sandlot. I watched the original Bad News Bears recently with my kids. Holy shit. The words that were coming out of the kids' mouth. It was insane. Like that was like another era of children.
You know who should... Michael B. Jordan was in a kid's sports movie.
Yeah, Hardball.
And he played sports his entire life.
Yeah.
He's got the clout. He could do it.
He could do it.
Be the producer, director.
Yeah. I think he'll do it when you have kids one day.
Mm.
That's when you'll realize it. When you're making $1 billion, dude.
He's on the face on Rodeo. I
Yeah,
see his
like
face
he's-
everywhere.
Yeah, he's not trying to make like a low budge fucking kids movie to please some random.
Yeah, because the Blumhouse does all the low budge horror movies that all crush.
Yeah.
For given the budget.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
clearly you can make it work.
All right. All right.
So your Sunday, we may not do.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
But
figure out the
then
schedule.
the Sunday after is the big prediction. We got to tease that.
Yeah. That'll be the prediction
So
episode.
that's what, January 5th, I believe.
4th.
4th? January 4th, prediction.
Yep. Big one.
It'll be hot. We
Yeah.
have time to prep.
Yeah. No more excuses on no time to prep.
So
Drama.
it'll be a fun one.
All right, Cathies. We will see you next week.
And Merry Christmas to the Paff family. Drama claims he's going to church. We need the parents
Okay.
to confirm it.
Yeah, I want a picture
Mr. and
from
Mrs.
Mass.
Paff.
I want a picture from Mass. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Enjoy the break. Bye-bye.